If you're gonna start a revolution, I beg you to start it over something more important than like a party at an anime con. Just save your energy. It's fine. Like, it's fine. I hate when I like delay my con recaps. It's almost been just shy of a month since I actually went to this con. But the con is ColossalCon. I started going to this con 3 years ago, and it's become one of my favorites. It's become like one of my staples, must go to cons. So I'm gonna kind of explain what the con is, what it's all about, what the vibes are like, my take on the experience, and of course I have lots of pictures and stories to share. So let's get started with the ColossalCon recap. So I've been doing this with the past few con recaps, and I think I like it because, as we know, con is a spatial experience. So every con's vibe is a little different, and a lot of that vibe is determined by the actual space that it's held in. So let me explain to you the space of ColossalCon. There's actually a few ColossalCons throughout the country. There's 4, I think, a year. There's one in Texas, one in Wisconsin, one in the Poconos, and this ColossalCon Prime is in Sandusky, Ohio. But all of them are held at Kalahari resorts. So here's the deal with Kalahari. It is a hotel and a convention center and a water park, and all 3 of those things is all one property, right? That is the crux of the resort. So the idea that the convention center and the hotel are linked is great because obviously you can bounce quickly back and forth between where you lay your head, where you get ready in your cosplays, and all of the action on the con floor. But then adding a water park to that, it's just a whole new level of like, wow, look at all these people in cosplay at the pool, on the water slides. It's a very unique convention, and I love it. I would almost say maybe my takeaway from this year is that there's like too much to do at this con because of how it's set up. Now I like that it's all accessible on this same property. So I think that helps with the like being overwhelmed thing. It's very easy to pop back to your room for a break or a bite, to change cosplays. I personally hate being, like in a wet bathing suit and the convention floor is freezing. I will say this, the convention floor is always cold and everyone's wearing swimsuits. So I try to think ahead in my planning and my packing to make sure that I will always be warm and dry and comfortable, but also ready to hop in the pool at any moment. So this is the setup. This picture here is actually my room that I shared with 3 other amazing cosplayers. It was a kitchen suite, which is really helpful because while the resort has restaurants and bars on site, you could never want for anything. You never have to leave the actual property the whole time, but it can get pricey. So it's nice to be able to have a kitchen so you can make snacks and drinks in your room. One thing that's kind of interesting about the space that I just wanted to share some images with you is it is this, all contained property, and the nerds take over. So it just becomes like con floor, water park, hotel, all of it is overtaken by these nerds who just bring the best energy. So I have some pictures here of everybody puts signs on their doors. A lot of them put signs with markers. So throughout the weekend, you see people increasingly adding to the lore and the storytelling and the hey, how you doing? It's just a really fun like community thing. People putting up posters on their doors. I actually kind of blurred this image a little because I really didn't know if there was anything inappropriate. There's like a lot, and I didn't know if there's anything appropriate, and people also definitely fall into the trope of just drawing dicks on every poster. Like it happens every year, and so I definitely wanted to make sure that I didn't have any genitalia on my Twitch stream. But I always knew that I was coming up on my room. The halls are very long in the hotel portion of the property. I always knew I was coming up on my room because of this little guy, this little shark with boobies. And I figured that was okay to show because the shark is wearing a bikini. It's not nudity. But also it's bizarre, and I heard lots of people commenting on this boobied shark whilst walking in the hall and overhearing things. There's little shrines everywhere. I don't know what's going on with this pile of stuff on the ground. And there's also little secrets, like this little guy I found in a window. So all this to say, the nerds take over this entire resort at ColossalCon, and it's just beautiful. In addition to the door signs, there's also a lot of flags hung from like balconies, as well as, you know, the ground floor, people kind of putting signs up on their patios. It takes over the whole hotel, and that's, I think, a really magical thing. So these are some of my favorites. I like Shrimple and Clean, the Mojo Dojo Casa House, and of course, just like a giant cardboard head of Bobby Hill. Because yes, absolutely. We're here for that kind of energy. Beautiful part of ColossalCon. Had to take a picture of this like gigantic printed banner of these floppy vampire guys from Twilight. And also this beautiful artwork of somebody promoting their Discord and taping it to a trash can. I love it. That's grassroots guerrilla community building at its finest. A cute idea and emblematic of what the energy really is at this convention. So let's talk about my personal experience at ColossalCon this year. A Wednesday is typically referred to as day zero. So my day zero was a lot of travel. I got to the hotel kind of late, but I had enough time to settle into my room and go pick up my badge. And they had paper copies of the convention schedule, which I just kind of love. I'm gonna go ahead and say about this particular convention, their online schedule app, a lot of cons have, you know, different apps for you to organize your schedule, pick out the events you want to go, you know, keep things organized. Their interface is not great. I haven't actually figured out how to make it work as an app. So it's kind of just a web page that's a long list. It's not the best. So having access to this paper schedule was actually a dream come true to me, and it really took me back to days of old, before we had smartphones like widespread. It wasn't really feasible to be like, oh, there's just an app. No. You would pick up your paper schedule, and for conventions as big as my favorite, Dragon Con, which spans 5 hotels, you know, it was like a booklet that could be very convoluted to keep track of, but you had a paper copy and you would go through and circle your panels. So it was a little walk down memory lane for me in that way, where I got to look at all the panels on paper, and I don't know, I actually kind of liked it way more than going through the app, which is cool because you can do that before you even go to the con, so that's nice. You can get excited and hyped by looking at the app. But having that paper schedule was just everything, and I never looked at the app once. Like I just kept that paper schedule. I also picked up my badge that evening, and I went this year for something different. I went for the VIP badge, and there are a couple different VIP packages that ColossalCon sells, but I'm going to tell you the package that I got and what my take was on it. Essentially, the badge comes with your regular con badge. It's got a little special name on it or whatever. Waterpark VIP is the one that I got. And it included these wristbands, which let you into the night swim. So the water park shuts down for regular guests of the Kalahari, and then it reopens for con attendees only from like 11 to 3 in the morning. And that's the night swim, but it is an extra ticket in addition to your badge. So I went ahead and got the VIP badge because it was actually kind of just a good deal to have all of the night swim badges already. I didn't end up going every night to the swim, and I never do, but I never know what night I want to go, you know? So I liked the idea of having the option to go when I wanted to, and I had them all ahead of time, didn't have to get in any kind of line to buy my badge, you know, for the night swim if I decided to go, avoid that crowd, and it was a pretty good deal. I didn't even realize that it also included, in addition to this, 10 skip the line passes. And I gotta talk more about these skip the line passes. So you get these 10 tickets, and the idea is for any panel or event that you want to go to, you can skip the line by handing your ticket to the volunteer monitoring the door. But for almost every single panel that I wanted to go to, there was no volunteer in sight. There was no one with any kind of authority for me to be like, I would like to skip the line, please. And also for most of the panels I wanted to go to personally, there never was a line. I don't know, maybe that's just me and my style. I like to go to usually niche, quirky panels, or I like to go to like deep, heady cerebral panels, you know, academia type stuff. And I don't know, any panel that I wanted to go to never had a line except for karaoke, which I did use my line pass, and I used it for something else too, but like it was also like I didn't actually use them. I was nervous about these because it just didn't jive with my understanding of how the panels go and everything at ColossalCon in particular. And I was right. There were never any volunteers monitoring, you know, the doors, the lines. Like there were volunteers and they were working very hard, but it was not like every door had a volunteer. It's not like Dragon Con or larger cons where it's like you're gonna have a volunteer in every corner. This is kind of a mid-sized con, kind of a smaller con. So I had these like tickets to skip the line for any panel, but there was never anyone with authority for me to be like, here's my VIP skip the line badge. And so I just basically showed it to people, just like other attendees in line. It was just like, so I'm not an asshole. I have this thing that says I can come to the front of the line, and everyone was just like, okay, I don't care, whatever. But it made me feel icky and weird. There was very rarely a line for any panel I wanted to go to. But the few times that I used it, it was kind of like, I didn't like use the ticket, right? It just went back in my VIP plastic baggie. And the people agreed to, like, I guess, honor code. They were like, yeah, whatever, you can get in front of us. There are panels that can be packed. My understanding is that most people use those things for, like, I don't know, the big bands or shows or whatever, but I just didn't go to any of these. This ColossalCon, there was a lot going on, and I had a hard time making choices, honestly. There was just so much to do. I felt like it went by so fast. This package also included, and I didn't even realize this at all, a free towel and a free ColossalCon t-shirt, which are both $35 each. So that's like a $70 value for something I wouldn't have bought otherwise, but it was a nice little add-on. So in general, I think the VIP badge is a good deal. Did I use everything that came with the badge? Not exactly. Would I have been just as happy with a regular badge? Yeah. But I do think it was a worthy purchase. I'm not mad about it. Let's move on to day one of the con, the actual day. You know, I settled in. I actually, on day 0, knew there was a night swim on the first night, which is new this year. There was no way that was gonna happen for me because I'd been traveling all day to get to the con. So I just kind of like saw a rando and was like, would you like this free wristband? And so I made someone stay. Did I lose money? Maybe, I guess, if you want to think of it that way. But I made someone stay. And that's honestly like fine for me personally. So I woke up bright and early to go to Walmart, get some snacks. Didn't want to miss an ounce of con, so I got up really early to do that. Then I came back to my room and put on my cosplay for day 1, which was Vanellope from Wreck-It Ralph. And I kind of want to talk about this cosplay just because I can explain to you what the vibe is of ColossalCon and what you need to put into consideration when you are planning cosplays for this specific con. Because it is at a water park, and plenty of people wear regular cosplays on the con floor, don't even go into the water park. But it's cool to have a swimsuit cosplay because it's just really fun to be in the water park in a cosplay. My first year I didn't bring any swimsuit cosplays, and I found that I was insanely jealous of everyone. So I made it a point to plan out, you know, some solid swimsuit based cosplays. I could wear them on the con floor, but I could also go hop into the pool or the hot tubs at any point and stay in cosplay. So this was my swim Vanellope, and I picked this character in particular because my thought process for this con was I want to wear a wig, and I want it to be a wig that's like very identifiable. Like, you know the character just from the wig. Because I'm gonna be wearing a swimsuit, and that doesn't always translate to like all, you know, characters. But I also knew that I wanted it to be an updo, because I have been in the situation where I wore a wig that was long and braided in a hot tub, and as soon as that wig soaks up even a little bit of water, like, it's all over. 20 pounds that you're carrying around on your head. So I wanted an updo. I wanted something that I could wear and just not get my head wet. That was the idea. So I picked Vanellope because it's an updo, and I got to make these fun little candies. And I had fun trying to translate her like hoodie look into something that was actually poolware. And I also got another Vanellope, so that was magical, and she gave me some swag. It's those little moments, I think, that make con, you know, really special. I also went to some panels on day one. So the first one that I checked out was called the Con Veterans Panel. It was a very cute idea, but I think in reality, this panel was not super entertaining or cute. I think the organizer was like, I've been, you know, going to cons for 25, 30 years. You know, he was very proud of himself and his smugness. I don't mean this in a shady way of the facilitator. He was a perfectly lovely human, but his smugness was just like a little kind of like, I don't know how to say it. I don't want to say the word cringy because that's what the kids say, and I hate that word. It was overbearing. It was a little intense. And so he did a lot of talking without a lot of structure, just kind of vamping. And the panel's only an hour long. So I feel like he did a lot of talking and then opened it up to the floor. And there just wasn't a lot of time to really facilitate, I guess, people sharing stories in a concise and entertaining way. It just felt very half-conceived. Like, cute idea. It ended up being kind of a slog. You know, there just wasn't a lot of smoothness to the presentation, to the storytellers. Oh, wow. Okay. Zippo with the hot take. There were a lot of bad panelists this year. Some were just incompetent. Many were full of themselves. Lady running a Nintendo panel had no concept of audience engagement. Yeah, I think that's a thing, right? So anyone essentially can apply to have a panel at this convention. And, you know, you have your pitch and they decide if it's something entertaining that would fit well in the schedule. But it's true that, like, not everyone is a public speaker. So, like, even if you are really into something and you know so much about it and you have so much you want to share about it, public speaking is a whole thing. My entire career to this point has been teaching middle schoolers. So, like, knowing how to keep people's attention is sort of like a thing that I've spent a lot of time on, right? Like, I don't know. I understand how to kind of bring in a non-captive, non-motivated audience. And arguably people at a convention are motivated, but, you know, they're still human and they're still used to being entertained instantaneously by their phones. So it can be hard to kind of bring charisma to a panel, especially if things go wrong technology-wise or things didn't go the way you planned. You don't get to practice, you know, in the space before you present a panel. So there's that. I will say the first handful of panels I went to, I was kind of like, this is all feeling very amateur. And I don't mean that in... I don't want to sound like I'm being snobby, but it was just kind of like, okay, it's a little amateur. But then increasingly throughout the con, I went to panels that were so well hosted, well organized, insightful, loved it. Be a snob, you're entitled, you're a great panelist. Well, coming from my co-panelists, I appreciate that, thank you. I think the facilitator anticipated a smaller crowd. They were like, oh, last year only 12 people came to this. So that would be cool, right? Just 12 people sharing their con stories. Because that was the concept of the panel, essentially. But there were like 100 people in that room. And I think the facilitator just got overwhelmed and didn't know how to shift his material to facilitate a discussion with a large crowd of people. So it was just kind of like him talking way too much, respectfully, way too much. If the basis of your panel is people are going to share, he kind of shared a lot and then would also like jump in constantly and overshare on other people's stories. So it's just like, either make this a panel where you are the sage on the stage and you're telling us, you know, the tea on your 20 years of con experience, which could be good, or make it what you said it was, which was sharing stories. So it was just kind of like I don't know, just random people got called up to go to the mic and share their stories. And then some people didn't use the mic, which I hate. I hate. Anyone who's gone to any like professional development type situation at a job that's just like, I don't need to use the mic, right? It's like, yes, you do. I know you're loud, but you're not accounting for the space overall. And I can say confidently that the convention space at the Kalahari, at least during ColossalCon, is rough. No one ever shuts the doors for panels, so you're hearing all the crowd noise kind of in a din, tunneling into the panel room. And they play extremely loud anime music. all throughout the convention center. So it's just, there's a lot of like din in the background. So as an audience member, I need everyone to be on the microphone, because you really don't realize in those huge ballroom spaces how much your voice does not carry. There is too much washing it out. So yeah, Zibbo. Some of the panel rooms had music playing in them. I learned that this was not every panel room, but some of the panels had music that was just playing in the speakers of the panel room, and we were told by the volunteers that you can't turn it off. They couldn't turn it off. It's the venue. So we're just like, okay, I guess we'll just do our panel talking over This Is How We Do It by Montel Jordan. It's loud. It's kind of a chaotic con space, so everyone needs a microphone. That aside, there was no vetting and no kind of like coaching people in telling what their piece is in a concise way, so everyone has time to share. There was none of this, and not all of these people, again, were public speakers. And then, of course, the audience gets bored and they start talking, which makes it even harder to hear. So it was just kind of like, yeah. There were a few people, and I have pictures of them on my slide, who actually were really good storytellers. And sadly, the girl in the first image, the panelist was just like, well, if you want to stay some more, the next panel's not here, so you can. So it's like everyone's walking out, and this girl takes the mic and she's like, okay, I was at DashCon. If you know anything about DashCon, you know she has the best stories, because DashCon is a notorious catastrophe. So the fact that she went last and nobody stayed around to hear her, I did, but I couldn't hear her because of everyone leaving and talking. There's just a lot of missed opportunities. Could have been facilitated better. Nonetheless, it was early in the con. I was feeling optimistic, and it's nice to, watch weebs be weebs and be in their element. The second panel that I went to on day one of the con, I had to go to because, of course, the title is hilarious. Kingdom Hearts lore made simple. Which is, like, funny, right? Because notoriously in the Kingdom Hearts community, the lore is very convoluted and tedious, and there's like 10 titles, and people argue all the time on Twitter about it's not really that complicated. No, it is that complicated. Well, it is that complicated. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you I'm on that side of the debate. And so this panelist presented it as, lore made simple, and then proceeded to try and tell the entire story of Kingdom Hearts. And it was just like walls of bulleted text on her projection screen in her slideshow. I was sitting in the front row, couldn't read any of it. So that alone was a visual joke. It's just like made very simple. Here's 500 words on a slide. She couldn't quite get through all the material, which was also funny. I didn't realize when I attended this panel that it was a 2-hour panel. I was one of the few people who stayed for the entire 2 hours. I pride myself on my ability to sit still and listen and focus on a topic for prolonged periods of time. A lot of people left. It was only 5 o'clock, but a lot of people were already really drunk. This is sort of a staple at ColossalCon. People get real drunk. And so that just made the lore panel even funnier, because people were just like, wait, what? You could tell it was actually a lot of casual fans. Not to say that I'm a serious fan or anything, but because there were genuinely people who hadn't played certain entries and were just like, I actually do want to understand. Can you help me understand? By the end of this panel, no one understood. It's just more complicated, and everyone was drunk, including the panelists. It was actually only one speaker, but there were 2 panelists, and I think the other person was just there for moral support, which was kind of great. She just like kept her on track and like kept track of time. I love Kingdom Hearts, so if there's Kingdom Hearts content on a con schedule, I'm probably gonna go to it. I would rate this panel, 8 out of 10. Had a lot of fun. It was 2 hours long, and no one needs to do it. Don't do 2-hour panels. If you're not doing like a show, don't do 2-hour panels. Nobody can do that. And by nobody can do that, I mean no one in the audience, especially people who've been drinking sugary Kalahari giant cocktails all day. No one can focus on that. After the panel, did some, just people watching, wandering around the con, and I did go to the night swim. I want to tell you about the night swim, even though for me, it really wasn't a big attraction for me this year. It just didn't align with my schedule, my vibe for the con this year. But I went to the Thursday night swim, and it's basically, the water park is open after hours. There's someone at the wave pool playing ravey music. They call it Rave in the Waves. And so that's fun. Everyone's in the wave pool, like dancing. It is funny because of safety reasons. They can't like turn the lights off or have, you know, ravey lights. It's a water park. Like all the lights need to be on for safety reasons. So it's just like a bright ass water park, but people are like, we're raving. And it is fun. It's a lot of fun. But I went to the hot tubs. There's 2 hot tubs in the back of the water park that are 21 and over. So there's a swim up bar, and that's kind of where people hang. And it gets kind of wild. Like, it's always a vibe in those hot tubs, but the after hours party is kind of the most insane thing you've ever seen. It's just like packed with people in these 2 hot tubs. And then there's always someone who brings a speaker, and there's just this like loud, crazy dance party going on in the concrete between the 2 hot tubs. I mean, it is just people like getting crazy. And in fact, the only picture I will provide for you is this like blurry one that I took when I was trying to get a picture of it. And I was like, this is actually better because this is what it feels like to be in the hot tubs of the night swim. It's just chaos. It's a lot of weebs singing along and dancing and just being wild. I didn't like the music. I didn't like the music so much that I was being very prissy and just like telling everyone I didn't like the music. There were like a few good songs and the rest of it I hated. So I left and I went to bed, and I did not actually return to the night swim at all for the rest of this convention. But if it's a convention that you're interested in attending, this is kind of a big sell for a lot of people. A lot of people really like the night swim, even though it is an extra ticket. Day 2 of my convention experience, after staying up till like 2 in the morning at the night swim, I had to wake up oh so very early to get ready for my panel. That's right. This convention, I did a panel, and it was a lot of fun. I was really proud of how it turned out, and I was really excited to share something I'm passionate about. But it was in one of the earliest panel spots that existed on this day, which was 10 a.m. So I was tired. But the panel that we hosted, Zippo, who's in chat as well, was my co-panelist, and his wife. We hosted a panel called the 30th Anniversary of Gargoyles, the animated series. If you follow my stream or have been here before, you've probably heard me talk about my podcast, Disco Lemonade. And we actually did an episode on Gargoyles on Disco Lemonade as well, which is available on YouTube if you want to check out my YouTube channel. But I woke up early to prepare for this Gargoyles panel because I wanted to have swag. I wanted to have something to give away at the panel. And normally I would order ribbons. There's a company that makes ribbons that people will stick on their badge. That wasn't really in my budget this year, so I decided to make buttons. I printed out all of these images, and because of course I was con crunching and not prepared, I brought my whole ass button maker with me and was making buttons in the hotel room the morning before our panel. So pictured here. Peak unpreparedness, but also determined. I was like, just because the buttons aren't ready now when I'm leaving for con doesn't mean I won't have them. And I did, and I think they were a big hit. I made a couple Pride themed Gargoyles pins as well, because June is the start of Pride Month. I think the panel was really successful. I felt like we had a great time. I really felt like I got to connect with other people, even though we did have to present in a room with music blaring. And the audio wouldn't work for the one video that I wanted to show, but it was great. The audience was great. My co-panelists were great. And no one left. This is why I think the panel was successful. You know, it was a decent turnout for being an early morning panel at kind of a party con. Decent turnout, and nobody left. You know, it's hard to pay attention to something for an hour. I didn't see anybody get up and leave in the middle of the panel, so I think we had a good discussion that people wanted to be a part of. I also actually met some people after con. I stayed an extra day, and we were just in the hot tub, and they were talking to me, asking me about my con, and they asked about my panel, told them what it was, and one of them goes, "Oh, my friend went to that. He said he had a blast." And I was like, that made me really happy, because if someone is talking about my panel, not to me unbidden, and being like, yeah, we had a great time, telling their friends that this was a good panel, I will take that. I'm proud of us. I think we did a good job. I actually stuck around after our panel. This was when I was like, oh no, there are good panelists here. I went to a couple duds, but like there are people here who know how to speak. This woman had a panel about building the play in cosplay, So she's a 7-year veteran character performer, and she talked about how character performing techniques can help with cosplay. And that was really fun for me to watch. First of all, it was very well organized, and that's because she actually used to train people at a character performing agency. So she knows how to facilitate, information in an engaging way, in an organized way. It's a harder skill than people think. So she just had a lot of really interesting things to think about. So my fellow cosplayers, this is something you might consider. Feel free to, if anybody wants to message me to know more about the information at this particular panel for cosplayers specifically, let me know. But just a lot of cool ways to do character work and kind of, enhance your experience. Not everyone has to be in character or go real hard on the, the role play aspect of cosplay. But there were plenty of tips that just for posing and for just being in the right mindset and being comfortable. I really enjoyed this panel. I thought this speaker was an awesome source of information, really. I don't go to a lot of cosplay panels anymore, if I'm being honest, because a lot of them are about crafting techniques. And at this point in my cosplay career, it's not that I can't learn anything new, but I probably won't do that at a con, right? There's too much I want to do at con. When I learn new techniques, I'm going to watch, YouTube tutorials. I'm going to do research. I don't go to those panels so much anymore. But this one was one that I was like, this actually looks compelling and something that I wanted to do. And it was in the same panel room that I was already in for my panel, so it worked out. I will say, when I started cosplaying, photography and posing were the last thing on my mind. Social media wasn't really even that big back then when I started cosplay, and I wasn't really on social media. I wasn't my followers want to see my picture. I have so many cosplays from the early days that I didn't even take pictures of. They're gone forever. The cosplay's destroyed. I never took photos, lost to the sands of time. But I would say within the last 3 years, when I started being on social media, because I was not really on social media for most of my cosplay life, it's taught me so much. I've learned so much about posing and photography. It's a whole new skill set that I had to learn, and it is fun, but it's not for everyone. I think everyone should do cosplay at whatever level they are comfortable at. We don't all have to be professionals. That's my soapbox on that. I didn't do a ton more on this day of con, day 2, because I had stayed up so late and woke up so early and focused so much on my panel. So I just went to the board game room. I had my board games. I posted in the Discord, if anybody wants to learn how to play a game, these are the games I got. And then I put a little sign on the table that was looking for players. I can teach you how to play. And I met people, and we played Fire Tower together, and it was great. It's a very chill way to spend the afternoon. I actually went to bed super early, 8 o'clock. 8 p.m. is early on a regular day and really early on a con day. But I was just wiped from travel and doing my panel super early, and so I went to bed very early. But that means I got to get up bright and early on day 3. Got up before any of my roommates were up, was in cosplay, and hit the dealer hall right when it opened. I will say about me with conventions, the dealer hall is typically the last thing that I care about. I often never even walk into the dealer halls at conventions. I'm not super obsessed with stuff, I don't merch. I have a few special things. I kind of have them on display behind me, but I really don't get a lot of stuff. It's just not for me. And also, I have a budget. So it's just for me, the experiences outweigh the stuff all the time. I don't want any more stuff. I already have enough stuff. It's a whole thing. Look at my craft room. But I went to the dealer hall because it was bright and early, and I thought I'd check it out. It was a lot of what I expected to see. It was a lot of companies selling bulk, all the same stuff, all the same plushies and whatever, gamer gear, flasks, just a bunch of cheap stuff that's all the same, but it has anime characters on it, and it's all probably unethically produced. I'm sounding negative, but that's a lot of dealer halls, unfortunately, unless you're going to a really big con that will draw in specialty vendors, or sometimes a really small con because local artisans or local businesses that specialize in a product that you can't get anywhere else, right? That's cool. A lot of times a dealer hall, though, is just a lot of garbage that's just there to kind of take advantage of the fact that you're there. Like souvenirs at a theme park, it's just oh, you're wonder and you're so hyped on con, and then you buy a bunch of garbage. I did like these shoes that were on display, so I took a picture of that to investigate later on my own. I'm pretty sure you can buy them online. And I took a picture of the only vendor that had a 18 and over section, so you can see the curtain and the like sign being like, go around here. And I just took a picture of that because I thought it was amusing. I did not go in. I'm not interested in hentai. I don't know. You know, this is an anime con, but I've notoriously said, like, I don't actually watch a ton of anime. I just love cons. But the Artist Alley was actually very good. So I want to show you what I got at the Artist Alley. Because that obviously is always going to be better because it's actual people selling their actual art, not just vendors selling, you know, reselling stuff they bought off Shein or whatever, or Temu. Only thing I found I wanted to buy was some Vishuju pins. Oh, that's cool. The pins are nice. They usually do have a good selection of pins that you can't always find in other places. I bought one thing on the dealer's floor. I did. And it was way overpriced, but I got sucked up in the moment and I got this little guy. This very, 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 let me get my big screen so you can really appreciate him. This is Riku from Kingdom Hearts, and he's just too cute. And so I got him, and he got to travel the con with me on Saturday. I like that back here it's just like a little pocket, so you could just put him on your hand, and it's not a puppet, but it's fine. It's cute. I spent too much money, but it's Kingdom Hearts, and you know, if I'm gonna spend a fool amount of money, it's probably gonna be for Kingdom Hearts or cosplay, or Kingdom Hearts cosplay. One of the two. From the Artist Alley, though, I did also purchase 2 sets of stickers. I showed these off on stream on Monday night when we were playing Animal Crossing. But I got these Animal Crossing sticker sheets. I really like the ghost, the llamas. We've got all the Able sisters. On the second page, I've got a repeat Isabelle, but we've also got Tom Nook and KK and Daisy May, who I cosplayed last year at ColossalCon. But those are very cute and reasonably priced, and I'm always down to support, you know, an artist. So those are my purchases. I did end up spending a little money, which is another reason, honestly, I just don't even go into the dealer rooms or the Artist Alley because I'm probably just going to spend money, and I don't need to do that. So if I can avoid it, I don't do dealer hauls. Maybe I'll do Artist Alley because, again, I like art and seeing human creativity as opposed to just commercialism, but that's that. I attended another panel after perusing the dealer hall, and Riku got a seat. We were in the front row. He looks adorable. But this panel was called Fandom Studies 101, and I loved it. It was an academic panel, so you know that's like my whole deal. And the facilitator basically explained fandom studies, which is when you take academia and apply it to studying, you know, people and media and how people interact with media and essentially how they create their fandoms and what that can tell us about community, about communication, identity, symbolism, you know, studying our own culture, studying our cultures interacting with other cultures. It's basically social studies, but with nerd stuff. And that's literally like what I want to dedicate my whole life to. Social studies, but with nerd stuff is essentially my whole deal. So I really enjoyed this panel and everything that this facilitator had to share. This is another one that if you want a little more depth on, feel free to shoot me a comment or whatever. This is how you wind up with Taylor Swift college glasses. I mean, I am of the opinion that media, you know, is a representation of our collective, you know, minds. I think that the things that we create, the stories that we tell, I've got a real big emphasis on studying, you know, storytelling as a biological impulse. It teaches us so much about our individual brains and like sociologically, how we interact with other people, how we represent our thoughts and feelings. I think there's a great deal of depth that can come from studying pop culture or anime or, you know, whatever. This is kind of cool too. She had like pictures of old fandom stuff. So like the first ever cosplay from the 30s, or the first recorded cosplay, fan groups for Sherlock Holmes, the original serials, It's just kind of cool to realize like people have been nerding out and being fans for much longer than just like the 20th or 21st centuries. So that was a really insightful panel. Now, here comes the big moment. After this panel, it was time for me to check out the controversial ColossalCon Foam Club. Yes, I went there. I went to Foam Club, but only because I had the VIP badge. I'd already purchased that. And because I guess so many people were naysaying the event on the online forums, they decided as an extra add-on last minute to give all VIP badge holders the wristband to get into the Foam Club. So the Foam Club was free to me, I guess, because I had already purchased a badge and they threw it in with it. So I had to go, right? I had to go check it out. So here's the tea with this. This is an additional ticket. It's a party with a private pool and foam and a bar and a DJ and snacks. That's the sell. My understanding is that this did exist last year, but maybe it was free. Anyway, it was an extra ticket. It was $40 extra to go to this event. And in the Discords and the forums, months leading up to cons, a lot of people were just like, no, I'm not spending $40 to go to a 3-hour party when I'm already at a party and I've already bought my badge. So a lot of people were kind of naysaying this event. Just like a lot of people in the Discord were saying kind of insane things like, they can't keep us all out. They can't stop us all. We're going to revolt. We're going to storm the foam party, which, calm down. Everybody calm down, because if you're going to start a revolution, I beg you to start it over something more important than like a party at an anime con. Just save your energy. It's fine. Like, it's fine. Going to events, going to parties, it's a luxury. It's an extra expense. Yeah, they're going to try to gouge you for more. Don't do it if you don't want to do it. Do it if you want to splurge. But it's not that deep, is what I'm saying. No one's being oppressed by them offering these extra tickets. So here's the foam party. It was nothing. It was nothing. It was the regular water park, which no one was allowed in the entire outdoor water park, except for people who had tickets to this event. This was a hot button topic. And it also came out that this event was supposed to be held at the private pool that's reserved for small events on the property, right? There is another pool. It's a private pool, and that's where it was supposed to be. Why they changed it last minute? I don't know. But a lot of people were mad because they couldn't use the water park, even if they had a water park pass, unless they had this extra ticket. So there was a lot of salt in the Discords. And, it wasn't anything, I guess, that special. It was the water park. And yes, there was a DJ, and I guess the speakers were a little nicer than the normal speakers, and the music was better, I'll say, but it's still like, there's always music playing at the water park. And there was a bar and snacks for sale, but there's always a bar and snacks for sale. So it's not like none of this was special, except for this cool little foam fountain that blew foam every like 20 or 30 minutes, and people would go stand in it. When not activated, it looked very sad. It was just like this weird puddle of blue goo. And I kind of like went into the foam and was like, okay, we're doing the foam. And it like stained my nose blue and my cosplay blue, which I was on my way to a photo shoot after this. So I was like, I really should have thought through this. Luckily it came off very easily in the pool. It was all good, but, yeah. This is kind of a weird thing. So this is a post from one of the ColossalCon Discords that, if you really want the tea, this person got their thoughts on what happened with the foam party, and I think it's pretty spot on. I think this is some good deduction. I'm sure the conversation on why they got the foam party went something like this, entirely made by satire, by the way. Kalahari, hey, we have a foam machine now. Want to add it to the con? It would cost this much, and you can get the outdoor pool all to yourself for 3 hours in the middle of the day, kind of like a midday rave in the waves. The con, hey, that might be good for the people that can't go to the after hours swim. Let's do it. We could sell the tickets for the same price as after hours, as well as making things less complicated. Then they proceed to not think about it at all, nor discuss the details, because they each thought the other was going to handle making it fun. Also, no one figured out blue dye turns blue until everyone looked like a Smurf. I think this is the most likely, story. It seemed like a cool idea. Neither the resort nor the convention maybe took the helm in really thinking through the implications of this party. But, you know, I saw it. I got in the pool. The pool was heated, which is like, you could heat this pool the whole time. I'm going to tell you something. Quick aside. I'm from the South. 90-degree weather is normal summer, right? Like, that's not even the worst it can get. 90 degrees is like the standard. That you expect it to hit 90 at the highest point of the day. And that's when I like to go swimming. You know, like, when it's hot, we get in the pool. I guess in Ohio, it doesn't get that hot, but like everyone that's from the north and local to Ohio is always just like, okay, be careful out there, guys. Be careful at ColossalCon. It's going to be real hot. You know, drink lots of water and so forth. And for me, it's usually too cold to even get in the outdoor pool. I'm like, 60 degrees is not hot, and I'm confused. So I'm always freezing at ColossalCon. The con floor is so cold. And often it's not even hot enough outside for me to want to get in the water, which was the case for most of Friday. Saturday was the warmest day, so I did get in the pool and had some nice pool time, but yeah. I think ColossalCon Prime should be when it's hot, but I mean, that could just be me. That being said, at the foam party, they heated the pool, and now me knowing that it's possible to heat that pool, and they haven't been doing that the whole time, that makes me a little salty. If I'm being a revolution. Heated pools or nothing. Give me heated pools or give me death. I don't think it was a huge disaster. I think a lot of people were salty and like enjoyed dunking on the concept. But I don't think it was that deep. Like I said, it was 3 hours. Well, people were having fun in the foam. Like I saw people dancing and, you know, doing a weird ritual with a baby Yoda, and people had fun. They made fun with it. And it was nice. I actually took some good cosplay pictures during this time because, again, the water park wasn't crowded. So I could actually set up my phone and take my own cosplay pictures and get some good shots. But that's about it. I wouldn't have paid $40. If I paid $40 for it, I would have been like, not worth it. But because they threw it in with the VIP badge, it was entertaining. I think the salt, again, disproportionate. There are deeper issues in the world. It's not like anyone's life was ruined over the foam party. But I left early to go to the Fallout photo shoot, and I did hear that someone puked, and they actually ended it early, so I don't know. I'm actually kind of surprised more people aren't puking at ColossalCon. It's a lot of alcohol, you know, and people are out in the sun and not drinking water and just drinking tons and tons of sugary drinks. I'm surprised more people don't throw up in the pool, if I'm being honest. All right, so after the foam party, I scurried along to go to the one photo shoot that I was really interested in attending, which was the Fallout meetup. It was a lot of fun. Very much in ColossalCon fashion. There was miscommunication on the schedule about when this meetup was supposed to start. So the official event on Facebook said 2. The ColossalCon official schedule said 3. So there was a lot of us just hanging out in the sun before we decided to finally take photos, but it was really fun hanging out with other Fallout fans. We talked about our favorite games. We talked about the new show. People had all kinds of, you know, cute things. The Fallout friendship bracelets. Some guy had a bag full of ass jerky, which is a reference to the show. So this was a really fun meetup. I really enjoyed just talking with other Fallout fans. Got to see a lot of really great Fallout cosplays. It was a really cute group shot. I like that it's not great. There's so many people who organize photo shoots and don't know how to organize photo shoots, and just so everyone just like sort of gets up there in a clumpy line. But the facilitators were super cool, and there was a guy who took everyone's phones and took pictures on everyone's phone, and that's a G. Because that's usually an issue I have with group photo shoots, is that like you have fun, but you never see the pictures. So I thought it was nice that one of the organizers was willing to take pictures on every single person's phone. And of course, I advocated for a shot of exclusively the Fallout 76 cosplayers, because that's my game. Been playing a lot of Fallout 76 the past 48 hours. It's Fastnacht. I've been doing the damn thing. So that was a really fun meetup. After this, it was time for a costume change. Saturday was like by far my most packed full day. It was the last day of con. And there's so much going on, I felt like I was missing out. So I really packed a lot into Saturday. So changed cosplays, put on my Pascal from Animal Crossing New Horizons. This is another like swimsuit cosplay. I thought it would be cute because he is an otter or a beaver. Otter? Beaver? I haven't actually figured it out. But this was a great thing to be just wearing in the pool. I just felt like a cool, snug little otter. I had a lot of fun in that cosplay. Like, it was just so fun and cute, and just, I had a blast wearing it. And I made a little tail, a little like otter tail, and I made it with foam because it had to be waterproof. And I didn't realize that the foam would like float. So basically when I was laying in the pool, the tail would come up behind me and I could just like kind of lay on it in the pool, and I felt like Pascal. I've never been more in character. It was delightful. I also had some swag that I gave away in this cosplay. So with my button maker, I made they're little round buttons, so I made them look like pearls, and I took actual quotes from Pascal in the game. You know, he always has something like silly and kind of zen hippie to say to you after you give him a scallop and he gifts you something. So I took all of his little sayings and I put them on the little pearls and I made them into buttons. But it was a hit. Like, it was a hit. So let me give you some context for the ribbon meetup. There's usually a ribbon meetup every day. People register as official ribbon dealers, but people also just bring like all kinds of swag. And it's just this fun event where everybody is hunting ribbons. People will give you quests or questions or silly little tasks, and you earn ribbons. And some people get really into collecting ribbons. You know, they've got a whole wall of ribbons that they've collected. It's a big part of con for a lot of people. And I've since seen it at other cons, but I really feel like I've never seen any con more hardcore about ribbons than ColossalCon. Like, there's a meetup every day and there's all kinds of people hunting ribbons. I didn't have ribbons to give out, but I gave out my Pascal buttons, and for the people that got it, they loved it. Like, they were just like, this is great. So I was really pleased with the cosplay itself, the comfort and the fun I had wearing it, and also the interactive piece. It was a peak cosplay experience. You're always bringing the equipment. Yeah, like when I brought my sewing machine to PAX East, I just, I procrastinate, and I just, I'm fucking serious about conventions, okay? And if I have an idea for a thing that I want, I'm gonna try my damnedest to make it happen, even if it's literally the day of the con. After ribbon meetup, I'm sure I took a break for dinner or whatever, but my evening activities included going to my last panel of the con, which was a Kingdom Hearts trivia panel. It was hosted by the same people who organized the Kingdom Hearts photo shoot every year at this con. Really lovely group of people. And they did like just a Kahoot of Kingdom Hearts trivia, and it was at 1 o'clock in the morning. So I feel like everyone was real toasty. And we just had a blast playing Kingdom Hearts trivia, nerding out. And afterwards, actually, me and several other Kingdom Hearts friends went to the board game room. We were the only ones in there, but it's open super late. So after the 1 a.m. panel, we played a little card game that's meant to be played with your own name, and you kind of have fun roasting each other, but we played with Kingdom Hearts characters. It was the most perfect like Magic Con experience, and I, not to brag, but I was glad to facilitate it because we were chatting with other fans in the panel, and this had been my plan all along. Like, I had my board game bag with me, and so we got to nerd out and be Kingdom Hearts fans together. And of course, I plugged Reconnect at the Kingdom Hearts panel. I asked the panelists beforehand, I was like, can I tell everyone about this great all Kingdom Hearts gathering? So hopefully I've recruited some more Reconnect friends. And so we closed down the board game room. Also, I came prepared, y'all. I brought beers, I brought snacks, I brought markers and coloring and board games. Like, I felt like a real con mom at this convention. I really felt like I was in my element. Like, I had my go bag, and I was ready to be the person making fun experiences, pop-up experiences. You know, that's one of the best parts of con, is just meeting people and then just like embracing experiences. And I think After 13 years of conventions, I'm like ready to be the person who can make those experiences. She knows how to do it for real. And I did learn from PAX. Yes, I'm such a bored. I didn't go to the pool hardly at all at this Waterpark convention because I was so consumed with like playing games with people. So I'm like a game person now. Too much fun and not enough con, you know? It's just, yeah. But we closed down the board game room with this, and they are open till 3. So at 3 o'clock in the morning, you would think, last night of con, the night is over, it's time to go to bed. Absolutely not. Last night of con, you can guarantee I made it count. So I took my go bag, which had drinks, both alcoholic and non-alcoholic, a couple games, coloring books, snacks, whatever you might need, right? I didn't know who I was going to run into, but I knew if I took my go bag and I put on some comfy clothes and I was like, I'm going to walk around and truly bringing the reconnect vibe to Colossal. Yes, yes. You might think the con is over because the content is over, but it's not. I will say ColossalCon is a big party con. Like, people are throwing room parties all the time. So I just knew if I started walking around, I would find people. I found people literally 5 or 6 doors down from my own hotel room. They were, you know, goofing around, signing one of the notorious hotel, you know, room signs that everyone has. Literally love doing cons with you. I love cons. That's my whole thing. It's my whole thing. It's my whole thing. I really love conventions. I'm already getting excited for my next one, which is the con I'm always talking about. It's Dragon Con. It's gonna be great. I need to like extensively document Dragon Con because I don't usually do that, right? That's just my con where I just like go off with my friends and have fun. But I'm gonna actually try and document it so I can really share with people what Dragon Con is, because I talk about it a lot. Dragon Con, like Colossal Con, is definitely a party con. Dragon Con is 24/7 content. Colossal Con doesn't have programmed content quite that long, but I mean, the Waterpark's open till 3, the game room's open till 3, and then people are up all night long. So I made some friends, as I do. I gave them chips, we were instant friends, and we said, let's walk around and find parties. And that's exactly what we did. We found multiple room parties. Some of them got shut down by security, because why the fuck are you people being so loud at 5 in the morning? I also had to take a picture of this one guy. He's winning. He won ColossalCon. This was like one of the parties that got shut down, so people were just like sitting in the hallway because they were drunk and didn't know where to go. But this guy had a whole bowl of pizza rolls that he was sharing with everyone, and it was great. So we bounced around from room party to room party, hanging out, making friends, and I got back to my room around 7 in the morning. But there was a room that I could see from my balcony still going at 7 in the morning. Like not just like, oh, they're still awake, like bumping, lights, music, people hanging off the balcony. The sun is coming up and these people are still going. So I actually had to put in my earplugs to fall asleep at 7 a.m. because there were still people partying. Love when people share things at con. Yes. That's I was done drinking at this point, but I brought alcohol with me and shared it with the people I met. I brought snacks with me because I knew there'd be people that were drunk and needed snacks. It was just great. White noise, that's another good one. My roommate brought a fan. That was really soothing. The people above us had crazy parties every single night of the convention. It was wild. I was like, every single night. Like, it wasn't just them being loud. It was like they were having a party. They did karaoke one night with a full mic. I should have hunted them down. But yeah, ColossalCon's a party con. It has so much to offer. I went to a lot more panels this year than I normally did, and I did my own panel, and it was all a great time. I do have just a few, you know, I love to share my favorite cosplays. So this guy did Power Armor from Fallout, and it looks so good. He was one of my faves. Of course, we have the fairy godmother from Cinderella, one of my favorite characters. I thought this woman did a lovely job cosplaying her. I love this rogue that I met at the water park. I love that she committed to the big teased wig. I've talked a bit with folks about how like the trends in wigs is a lot more of like building a structure and then just covering it with hair and that's how you get looks. But the older style of styling wigs is more in like the drag school of wigs. It's just like it's all the sculpting comes from teasing, and I really like that this woman committed to the full 90s tease. Like, bam, it was a thing to behold. People putting trash bags in the wig. Ooh, like to get weight or like volume without being too heavy. I mean, yeah, a lot of people put batting, which is like, you know, the soft stuff you put in quilts or whatever. Wig styling, at least popular now in cosplay, is a lot more like sculpture than it is like hairstyling. And I think that's just because there's a wider availability of tutorials, but also like materials. Like there are glues and things and Warbla, which is like thermoplastic. There are things that we just couldn't get in the earlier days of cosplay very easily. You know, think pre-Amazon, pre-YouTube. Now I think there's more availability to certain things that's a type of wig styling that can happen. But back in the day, all we had was the drag queens to teach us how to make it big. And that's how I learned to do wigs. I also had to take a picture of this Lulu from Final Fantasy X. I myself did a Lulu swimsuit cosplay at ColossalCon a few years ago, but this one was much better than mine, and she was just feeling herself. Like, it was great. I thought she was an amazing embodiment of the character Lulu. And finally, this guy's a pirate, and I don't have much to say about his cosplay. I took a picture of him though because he was slaying at karaoke, and I couldn't really fit it in anywhere else in my slideshow, my discussion, but karaoke is always one of my favorite things, and I like the way they do it at ColossalCon. I have notes, of course. Karaoke at cons is always kind of it's hard to make it engaging and fun for everyone. Like, either the line system is just booty and like there's so many people that want to do it, and then people have to fight for a spot, and then a lot of people just leave because they can't sing. I think their line and queue situation is spot on. They have a Google form where you sign up and you give them the YouTube link, so you find the karaoke version that you want to use, and then you have access to the form or the Excel spreadsheet made by the form, so you can actually see your spot. So this is actually a karaoke situation where you can sign up, leave, go do other stuff at the con, and just make sure you're back before your turn. So that regard, very organized. One of the things I don't like about the way they do this karaoke is that you can't see the lyrics. So you have to pull up the lyrics on your phone, or sometimes the DJ will let you like look at their laptop screen, so you're kind of like up in the corner with the DJs looking at their laptop screen, which that's not how I perform. Those of you who have been to karaoke with me know that like I'm gonna be working the crowd, I'm gonna be moving around, but it's nice to have the words. So that's a flaw. Every con has something about their karaoke that's just kind of mid. And these people definitely have the queuing system down. Best queuing system of any convention karaoke I've ever seen. The lyrics, it would be cool to have because, you know, that's literally the whole part of karaoke. So Sunday, I did not attend any of the last events, but I did see this on the schedule. And I just felt like I had to show the world. So the name of the panel on the schedule was Hillary Duff Assassin. I don't even know what that means. So I opened the app for the first time, because I was using the paper schedule, to get more information. And it's just the lyrics to Hey Now, Hey Now. I wanted to go to this just because I had to find out what it meant, but I couldn't. Sunday, I just rested, hung around the hotel room, went down to the hot tub in the wave pool for a while just to relax. It was kind of interesting going to the wave pool on Sunday, because most people that were there for the convention have left by that point. You know, they leave sometime Sunday afternoon. So I could see all the people that were checking into the Kalahari, and it was like a ton of families, which there weren't really a lot of kids because it was all just con goers. So it's kind of interesting to see this other side of the Kalahari and be like, oh, this is normally what it's like here when it's not being taken over by anime nerds. It's not always doable with everyone's schedule and budget, but if you can stay an additional night at a con, I highly recommend it. leaving almost any hotel when there's a convention is a nightmare because everyone's checking out at the same time. It's really rough. There are cons where like you can't even use the elevators essentially because that's just how busy it is. So it's nice to not check out with the rush. Take your time packing and actually just have time to like relax and recover after the con, especially if you have to travel. Yep, that's the thing. So here's ColossalCon in reverse. Here's the end with Pizza Roll Man and the late night partiers, late night Kingdom Hearts board games, afternoon ribbon meetup, Pascal cosplay, the Fallout photo shoot, the controversial foam party, dealer hall, great panels, more board games, my own panel, the night swim, and of course, the geography of the con, and how the nerds take over this really cool and unique property for a convention. There's not a lot of conventions like this. The property makes it a very unique and fun experience. I think that's awesome.